Here we go. Ugh. Hi, everyone. Welcome to TWF Friday Night Smackdown. I, Mike Lane, here with Sarah Shiver and with Wade Barrett. And today on, Friday Night Smackdown, we're going to talk about what happened yesterday on Impact or Hit. First, as we know, Becky Lynch beat Arrow yesterday on Impact or Hit, but Arrow still has the right to go to fight Asuka one more time for the TWF heavyweight winnings. So, at the end of the day, that did not shift. No, it did not shift at all, Sarah Shiver says. And Becky Lynch is angry and believes that she should be the one fighting Asuka for the TWF heavyweight winnings and not Arrow. Well, I'll tell you right now, Mike and Sarah, the way I look at this, way Barrett says, is that Arrow did have his match against Asuka. Arrow lost to Asuka, so I do think he needs to go in the back of the row and have someone else go after Asuka. So I do kind of understand where Becky Lynch is coming from. But at the same time, beating Arrow, you would think that that would give her the right, to do it. You think that would give her the right to fight, for the TWF heavyweight winnings. Wade Barrett says, but it looks like it doesn't. And now Becky Lynch comes to the ring now. First off, I should have the right to be fighting Asuka for the TWF heavyweight winnings, and I'll tell you why. Yesterday, I beat Arrow, a man who couldn't even bind my boots or bind my shoes. Arrow already had his run. He already had his time. And he lost to Asuka. And now it's my time, So I think that the main wicker of the toy wrestling gathering, Ric Flair, should name me as the next one to fight Asuka. And it should not be Arrow. At least that's what I believe. So the way I look at it, I truly believe it should be me. So, Ric Flair, you gonna come out here and make it right? First off, do not let me stop you from doing anything, Becky Lynch. But I saw what you did to Arrow. And yes, I'm a Marvel self. But then again, the DC self isn't really much of an unlikeness between a Marvel self, because we're both followers of the 4-1 bonds of good, both over good doers. You bitching and ranting about how it's so unfair that Arrow got one more shot to go after Asuka for the TWF heavyweight winnings, and you did not. Well, let's see, Becky Lynch. What have you done lately? And don't bring up all the things that you did in the past, or bring up all the things you did in WWE, on NXT, Raw, Smackdown, whatever. It's what you've done lately. And lately, Becky Lynch, you didn't really do nothing. You just showed up out of nowhere, had a match with Arrow. But Arrow did something, Well, I'll tell you what, tell me this, Tony Stork, or Iron Man, or Steel Man. What the hell did the Arrow do? Nothing. If you say I was sitting on my rear for months, then I say the same thing about him. You want to know what Arrow was doing? He was out fighting for the greater good. He was out fighting he was righting wrongs. That's what he was doing. He was being a good doer, or over good doer. So there's some forgiveness for why he wasn't around lately. But Becky Lynch, we can't say the same for you. You like to talk about how you say, oh, I showed everyone how it was to be great. What? As a skilled wrestler? What? As a living being? What greatness are you showing? Becky Lynch, the only thing you showed, folks, is supposedly most likely being great in your belief is, I don't know, being a four-time woman heavyweight fighter, being a 3 or 4-time WWE woman heavyweight fighter, 2-time WWE women's tag team fighter, 2-time Kingly Thunder winner. That's your idea. That's your thought of being great. You showed folks how it was to be great. Forgive me, but I think many wrestlers before you and after you might rile and say that they should or want to be great. Oh, so you think that you've done more than me. And you want to fight the man. First off, Becky Lynch, why call yourself a man when you're a woman? Well, I showed folks how to be great in a time where greatness wasn't around. Yeah, no one really wanted me on top. And I somehow got on top during a time where there were very few folks on top. And I did have to work myself to where I was. But once you got yourself over as being a top wrestler, you just stopped caring about anything. Believed that the world owed you something. Well, I'm sorry, Becky Lynch. Arrow has the right to fight Asuka, not you. Now, you can't handle that. That's not my bind. Good day. Well, it looks like Becky Lynch might she didn't handle that well at all. Just kicked him, hit him, kicked him, and then between the legs and get a manhandle slam. Oh, she ain't handling any of this right at all, Mike Lane says. Not at all, Sarah Shiver says. She did what she did to Arrow. Now she did to Iron Man or Steel Man. Now she did to Tony Stork. Yeah, he's not much of a good doer. Once you take him out of that steel clothing he's wearing, that steel tool, he's not much of a good doer. If he got taken down like that, Wade Barrett says. Yeah, you think you're so great? You think you're greater than me? Because somehow you made yourself a steel tool to wear all the time? Well, you're not. And I could give a shit about a DC self like Arrow or a Disney Marvel self like you. Well, it looks like to us, Mike Lane says, that Becky Lynch now made another bind, only instead of it being a Warner Brothers instead of being a Advanced Publishing, it's a Harp Lang, Warner Brothers Discovery, or Warner Brothers DC self. And it's now a Walt Disney business, Marvel Glee self. And that she's now started something with. Mike Lane says. Yeah, that's what it looks like, Sarah Shiver says. That looks like the bind. That looks like the bind that Becky Lynch started. Got herself in a bind of another good doer, Sarah Shiver says. How can Iron Man or Steel Man or Tony Stark be good doer if he's got that fighting toll he's always in all the time? I mean, that's not good at all. You want to tell me what all that was about? Well, Rick, let's see. You give me a match with Asuka. That's what it's all about. Well, I'm sorry, Arrow's got his match with Asuka. But hey, you just got yourself a match with Tony Stork, Iron Man, Steel Man, whatever you want to call him, since Iron's a French's borrowed word. You got a match with him. Now get in there and do it. Well, it seems that Ric Flair, worked as the main wicker, of the main wicker of the toy wrestling gathering, isn't getting any more smooth. Mike Lane says. And now I guess we got our match now. Mike Lane says, yes, it looks like we do got our match, and now Becky Lynch is now back in the ring now. Hey, I wonder if Tony Stork or Iron Man or Steel Man is going to make it after I kicked him between the legs and gave him the manhandle slam. I don't think he's going to make it at all. So I think we should just reckon him out. And here comes Iron Man, or Steel Man, Tony Stark, Mike Lane says. Ding, came on nowhere and took down the man, Becky Lynch. Mike Lane said, yes, Sarah Shiver says. And Becky Lynch is going to wish that she didn't start something with someone who can also fight back, Sarah Shiver says. What fighting back? When fighting back, he's got a ward toll he's in right now. He's mostly in a ward toll right now, and that's the only good thing he can do. And Becky Lynch is down right now, Wade Barrett says. If he's a over good to her, then striking someone from behind, well, that just gives him a double standard then. Well, if we want to talk about double standards and being a weakling, Mike Lane says, Wade, we got to talk about Becky Lynch striking Iron Man, Tony Stark, Steel Man between the legs, and striking him from behind and giving him the manhandle slam, Mike Lane says, and a spine buster, to Becky Lynch from Tony Stark. Mike Lane says, well, Sarah Shiver says, if Tony Stark can beat Becky Lynch, it'll just give her something else to bitch and rant about. Sarah Shiver said, that's what I believe. 1, 2. And only a 2 reckoning. Only got 2 out of it. And he's getting back up now. Becky Lynch just slammed him right into the ring steeple. And then gave him a manhandle slam. And it looks like she's gonna cheat by putting her feet on the rope. And the fight keeper doesn't quite see it. 1, 2, 3. Ding ding. Here is your winner. Here is your winner. Becky Lynch. Well, Becky Lynch, or the man, Becky Lynch, has beat Iron Man, or Steel Man, here today. Tony Stark, here today. Here today on Friday Night Smackdown. Mike Lane says, even though she might beat him, it's not going to shift that Arrow still has the right to fight Asuka, for the TWF, heavyweight winnings, Mike Lane says. But she is, but she is beating a lot of folks, Mike Lane says. Well, that's right, Sarah Shiver says. She may have beat Tony Stark, Iron Man, Steel Man, whatever you want to call him, but at the end of the day, she did not. She, Becky Lynch may have beat him, but it's Arrow who still will be fighting Asuka for the TWF heavyweight winnings. Anyway, now we're going to take everything away now to Bob Watt. Yeah, Wade Barrett said. I wonder what he's going to say. Alright. Thank you, Mike Lane and Sarah Shiver. I'm going to be talking with Tony Stark here today on Friday Night SmackDown. Alright, Tony Stark. I know that you had a match with Becky Lynch and you lost, and it didn't quite go very well. No, it did not go very well, Mike Lane. I stood up for a fella over good to her, Arrow. Alright? And yes, it's true, Becky Lynch beat me. But at the end of the day, Arrow still has the right to fight Asuka for the TWF heavyweight winnings. And she can talk about how she beat me. She can talk about how she beat a Disney Marvel cell. Big deal. That's not going to shift that Arrow still has the right to fight Asuka. And she likes to go and strike folks from behind and hit them between the legs and say all kinds of shit. And then she wonders why no one onlooks her. You see, this is a woman who forgotten where she came from. Put in the time, put in the work, but once she got on top, forgotten where she came from. I never forgot where I came from. Alright? Even though I might have a lot of gals and built myself, crafted myself and bombed at the top, I never forgot where I came from. And sadly, Bob, that's something Becky did. Yes, I guess that's true, Tony Stark. Tony, that a lot of folks out there would forget where they came from. You know, either if they were ashamed where they came from. You know, or whatever the grounds is. And I do think Becky Lynch did forget where she came from. She thinks that she's told everybody, sure, everybody, I'll be great. The greats never say they're great. That's what makes them great. You don't go around telling yourself you're great. The greats out there, if there are greats, which I guess there are, would be men and women who are good at something or great at something, but they never go around telling folks that they're great. So that's how you know who the true greats are out there. And she likes to tell everyone, I showed everyone how it was to be great. Well, then she's not the true great then, if she has to tell everyone that. Well, that's my talk with Tony Stark, Iron Man, Steel Man. Back to you, Mike Lane and Sarah Shiver. Well, thank you, Bob Watt, for talking with Tony Stark here today on Friday Night SmackDown. It is all the time we've got here, you know, for Friday Night SmackDown. I, Mike Lane, with Sarah Shiver and Wade Barrett. We hope you like Friday Night SmackDown, and we'll see you tomorrow for Collision or Hit.